Welcome to Summer in October. I'm Alex, and we are ranking all the movies I watched in February. If you're new here or you didn't check out my last one, all the new releases I'm going to do seasonally. So I'm going to do like a spring tier list or a spring ranking. So my monthly lists are going to have a lot of old movies and new movies. So that's what you can expect from months and seasons going forward. So let's get into this. I watched 27 movies in February. One I watched twice because I loved it so much, but we're not there yet. We have to start from 27 and go up, and there were quite a few ones I did not like. I'm gonna just preface this by saying what I consider not a good movie on this list is not good to me. I kind of hate hating on things like this because I know people do the most with what they can, and maybe some people drop the ball, but I don't know the history of how all these movies are made. So I don't want to hate on any of them, but I'm going to be honest if I didn't like something. So let's just get into it. Number 27 is a did not finish, and I do hope to return to this and give it another try, but I just couldn't get into it. And that's Nighttime World or The Nighttime World. This is a new release. So it's an anthology, and the idea is there's a host or framing narrative that is a podcaster having like a late night radio show, I think. I don't know if I'm getting that right. And I couldn't even get through the first story. The build up to the story, the dialogue, it was just not my cup of tea. I could not get through it. And when I'm sitting through a movie and all I can think of, this is a waste of my time, I can't be bothered to push through. I try to push through most movies because I know that maybe it builds up to something, but the build-up itself was just so unnecessary, I couldn't. And maybe that's a bit unfair, and maybe I'll give it another shot. If you've watched it, let me know if you liked it, but let's move on to number 26. Number 26 is another anthology, and I actually usually like anthologies, so the fact that these are so low should just tell you what you need to know, and this is The Spore. So I love eco-horror. I love environmental stuff. You'll see my shelves. One of them has all eco stuff. I have an environmental science background. But this, it just was flat. Like, that's the best descriptor I can give you. It was flat. Nothing felt monumental or memorable, so it just sits there. Number 25 is the new one that just came to Shudder, The Dead Thing. This was okay. I watched it through. I was intrigued with the main character and her story, but the whole story overall, and there was hardly any real fear to it. It just didn't hit for me. I got at the end and I was like, so it's pretty low on my list. Coming in at number 4 is Werewolf Game. So Tony Todd is in this, and for Tony Todd alone, you should watch it. I just did not get what I wanted out of it. The intro, I was like, oh, this is discouraging. But then we got to the middle, and the middle, I was invested in the characters. I liked that it was kind of like a game show sort of thing, but obviously horror. Now, they didn't actually show a lot of horror elements, so that kind of takes away. You're mostly just living in the build-up and the aftermath. You don't see a lot of the actual action of it all. But by the time I got invested, we got to the ending, which there could have been. There should have been, and there must have been a better ending for this. So I suggest just searching what the Werewolf Game is, like how you play that, so you understand the concept before you go in. And at least watch for Tony Todd. Besides that, that's all I have to say about it. Number 23 is The Creep Box. This concept and the atmosphere, I was completely just absorbed by it, okay? The concept was terrifying. It was dreadful. The emotions this movie made me feel, the story just lacked so much. It feels like they had so many directions they could go with it, and I cannot understand why they went the direction they did. I really can't. And I honestly don't even know if I fully understand the ending. And even if I understood it, I don't know if I liked it. So, concept itself, though, was really cool, so I think you should at least check it out. Coming in number 22 is The Gorge. This one is low on my list, but I do think it's an average movie. Yes, obviously Miles Teller and Anya Taylor-Joy have great chemistry. I see a lot of people on reels and stuff kind of putting the fan fiction love for it, the romance. Like, yeah, I like that. It was really intriguing and cute and whatever. But I also wanted the horror, especially it was kind of eco-horror. Give me it. And The Gorge itself, the whole intro concept was so great. When we hit the point where it transitioned right into the full action, it just lost me. It felt all over the place. The ending was just like, really? That's how we're gonna end this? If the movie would have been like the entire first half, and maybe a little bit more of hordes of these monsters and having to defend yourself, instead of this whole constructed, simple solution ending. I don't know. It missed for me. And this is my final entry on this list that I'm really gonna complain about. And this one, I'm not excited about. It is the My Bloody Valentine remake. I think it's 2009 is when it came out. I love My Bloody Valentine, the original, which will be later on this list. And I watched the remake and I was open-minded. Yes, it was also shot for 3D, so that plays into it, but I actually didn't think it took away. Honestly, it made the kills kind of more cool for me, because when I saw how the kills played out, I was imagining how it would play out in 3D, and it made me enjoy it. If you're looking for a bloody slasher, sure, this is the one for you. But there is no heart. There is no love. There is no story. It is just drama and conflict and hatred. The original has so much heart to it. I keep saying that because that's the only way I can put it, but it sounds like a pun. But it's true. The original has so much heart to it, and you get so engrossed in the inner conflicts on top of the story. This one, everybody just friggin' hates each other. And then we're also dealing with a killer. And personally, the twist in this one, I didn't like it as much as the OG. So, that's all I have to say. Now, we're getting into 20, and from 20 to my top 10, so before we get to my top 10, these were all okay movies in my books. I just like some more than others, and we'll talk about why. Coming in number 20 is The Damned. So I saw a lot of kind of letdown reviews for this, and I accidentally looked at them before I watched the movie, so I was a little bit going into it like I wasn't gonna like it, but I actually enjoyed it. It wasn't a bad movie. No, I should say this. It wasn't a bad story. I just think it really should have been a short, or they really should have just upped it a little bit. The scares are pretty much non-existent. I did guess the ending. However, I did really get engrossed in the characters very quickly. The environment was both interesting, troubling, and nostalgic. I come from a very small province that's known for fishing, so for me, it just kind of felt comfortable, and there's a little bit of Skyrim in there. Like, I just really liked that. I like the environment that I was in. But the story is more like, sit down and tell me that at a campfire, or make it a short. And if you're gonna make it a long movie, there needs to be more. There just needs to be more action, more fights. And if you're not going for the actiony and you're going more for the dark, then you need to let me sit in that darkness and be very troubled. It just felt really short-lived in those moments. Coming in at number 19 is The Dark Match. So this is the satanic wrestling movie, and this is a lot of fun. I love the color and style of this movie. I love the ending. I'm obsessed with the ending, honestly, okay? I didn't see that, came out of nowhere, and I was like, yes. The matches in the ring were fun. I just wish we got more of it. I know you have to build a story, and I was the one who's like, tell me the story. But for a wrestling movie, and everything that could have been done and all this, I just wanted more and more and more in a wrestling match. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's why I just didn't really enjoy the movie as much as I could. Then coming in at 18 is Batman vs. Dracula. I really like this. I like the spin of animated movies, especially those that are a familiar animation or comic book character, so like Batman versus frigging Dracula, I like that vibe. I liked where it met, and I like how they played with the concepts. They stayed true to what Dracula is, they stayed true to the Batman story, but they put it together. And I thought it was really cool. I'm definitely going to watch more of these. It's not higher on my list because I'm not crazy about it, but I did enjoy it. Like, I don't have any complaints. Then coming in at 17 is Little Bites. So this movie, I will say, if I rewatch it, I may rate it higher than what I did. Because this is one of those movies that when you get to the end, you realize that everything had a bigger meaning and it was symbolic of something. But it was truly disturbing and chilling. And the ending was insane. I did not see that coming. If you saw that coming, I think you're lying. I did not see that coming. And I did enjoy the movie. I just didn't get it. When I ended it, I had to search it up and be like, what am I missing? Like, why did this happen? And now that it makes sense, and I'm already thinking about certain things that I should have picked up on, I know on a rewatch I'll enjoy it a little bit more. But if you're looking for a creepy, disturbing, and an interesting monster design and all of this, definitely check it out. Coming in at number 16 is Tourist Trap from the 70s. So I watched this and it was weird. I don't know a different word to say than weird unless I call it freaky. Like, there's no better word to describe it. Is it scary? Yes. The thing that lost me is in the moments of terror and fear when we really should have felt that. That was when the performances just dipped. I get it was low budget, but it had nothing to do with what it's shown or how it was done. It was the performances. Nobody felt fear in that movie, so I didn't feel fear. If those fear sequences were really acted out, I think this could have been a way more interesting movie. I love the ending, the freeze frame ending, loved it. And it was just freaky, okay? I did guess the plot twist, so that was a little bit of a, I don't want to guess it, but at the same time, it's still interesting. But it just, it was okay movie. It's not standout, it's not fabulous. It just makes me a little bit sad because if those fear performances were just a little bit more impactful, I think this movie could have been way greater than what it is. Coming in at 15 is The Tragedy Girls. So this is a more modern horror movie. I usually really dislike movies that have to do with villains and social media. I'm on social media all day long. I don't want to see a movie about it. That's how I feel. But this was done actually really interesting. The build-up, I was like, I'm not gonna like this. But once I let myself just say, okay, we know it's gonna be a modern movie with modern slang, and there's gonna be tech, there's gonna be social media, just live in it. Just be in the moment and watch the movie. And when I did that, I had fun with it. It was twisted. And the ending was really, really great. I like how they ended it. But it was just a really twisted story and really fun to watch. So if you haven't seen it, it's worth checking out. And if you don't think you can get through it, give it a fair chance. Because once I did, I was like, damn, this was pretty good. Then number 14, we have Grafted. So this movie was another bizarre one. I really did enjoy it because I was very invested. The concept of this movie was freaky. And it's definitely good body horror if you're looking for body horror. But the thing with it is the story, I don't know what happened. Like halfway through, we changed pace and the pace picked up. It just felt like the story kind of fell apart. And in one breath, I understand that because how else would it have all happened? But it sometimes feels like some of the things we set up and some of the tension that we had was so easily rid of that it just didn't matter. And I don't know, the story kind of lost me, but for body horror, you should check it out. Then coming in at lucky number 13, my favorite number is Rabid. So this is the David Cronenberg zombie-ish movie. If you haven't watched it, you should definitely watch it. I really like this one, mostly because the infection spread. When we see movies with infection or zombie, whatever it may be, the spread is often implied. Like, we know it starts here, we know it gets bigger, and we know it's now at the biggest. This movie really takes you through the consecutive stages because it has to. It all alters around something. I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it. I like the perspective of how it starts. I like how the infection works. And it was freaky. It was weird and it was freaky and I was unsettled. It's not super scary. It's not like intense zombie movie. It's definitely a different spin on that, but I really enjoyed it. And then these next two, they are just out of my top 10. They're new releases and they're really good movies. They just didn't live up to some of the older ones that I saw that I just cannot justify knocking out of this list. So right now at number 12, I have The Monkey. I really, really like The Monkey. It was fun. Did it miss out on a few things story-wise that I think it could make it like a 10 out of 10 movie? Absolutely. But when we're talking about having fun with it, I had so much fun. I laughed so much, it was entertaining. And I think that's why number 11, which is Hard Eyes, wins out for me. Hard Eyes was a very big story, and although there are things that I didn't love about it, it just felt like a more complete movie. Like, this is a movie from start to finish where I know we're working towards something that makes sense, that supports this, and it's all going to come back around in a circle, and it's done. And we have some crazy kills in between. The Monkey is more like laughing at the jokes, waiting for a cool kill, sitting in the story waiting for a joke, waiting for a cool kill, enjoying the joke, enjoying the cool kill. You know what I mean? Hard Eyes was more, I can get enthralled in this story at least, even if it's not my favorite and I didn't love it. The Monkey was more, I like the concept, I like the comedy, everything else, I have to take it if I want those things. So now we're getting into the movies that I loved. These are my top 10. I think most of these on the list can stay in their place, but honestly, depending on the day you ask me, I actually think I'm going to change one of these on the fly now that I'm thinking about it, but let's get into it. So coming in at number 10 is The Brood. It was a good build. I like the pace. I like the strangeness of it all, but I had no idea where it was going. But that woman, who is the main actress in this movie, I have her name written down somewhere, who at the end, when she's supposed to be freaky, she's freaky, okay? I was freaked. And when the reveal of what the hell we were dealing with I was introduced to Cronenberg with Rabid, but I think this movie really was like, oh, you're gonna get to know Cronenberg. You're gonna get to know that he's weird. And I loved every minute of it. So, give me more. Coming in number 9, I don't know if this is a strange take because I actually don't know how people feel about these movies. Leprechaun. Guys, a first watch is coming. Or maybe I already be up by the time you see this, it depends. I freaking loved Leprechaun. It gave me Jack Frost vibes, and I really like Jack Frost, so I was able to enjoy Leprechaun. And this is what I realized in these types of movies. When the villain is goofy, but everybody else is in literal terror, that's what I like. I don't like when we're goofy as a whole. I like when things can still be scary and tense, but the villain is just hilarious. This Leprechaun is the funniest guy ever. I just can't. You'll get my full reaction on the channel, so you can watch that and you'll see how I felt about it, but I had so much fun with it. Coming in at number 8 is Reanimator. Okay, listen. The characters, the story, the practical effects, everything. Yes, it won me over. I loved it. But I have to be honest, the whole creepy doctor sexual bits, it made me so uneasy, like so disgusted, that I had to knock this movie down a little bit on my list. It's crazy, it's great, I can appreciate it for what it is, but in terms of my enjoyment, I didn't enjoy as much as the other ones because it just actually made me want to claw my eyes out. I hate it. It was so gross. It was kind of comical, but it was also so disgusting. That first watch is coming, okay? That one, it's gonna sit for a while, but then you'll see it. I don't know when I'm posting it, but it won't be yet. But those parts are definitely gonna be edited out for the main channel because they cannot be online for public. They're gross. But one thing I should say about Reanimator, the concept is so cool. I also like that the concept plays around with how it will actually play out. Like, we're not just going to reanimate and all be good. You're going to have to deal with some issues. So I really enjoyed that. And I mean, Herbert West, pretty iconic. So number 7 and number 6 are interchangeable because they're both Final Destination movies. I'm going to give my final ranking on which one I like better when I do my Final Destination movies ranked when I watch them all. And I'll probably wait to put that out till the new one comes out. I think that makes the most sense, hey? But right now, if I had to rank it on this list, I think number 7 is Final Destination 2 and number 6 is Final Destination 1. The second one, we just really got into it. You know, we got into it. They knew what they were playing with and they played with it. But the thing it missed from Final Destination 1 is the first one gives you a really dark, dread, like, what am I dealing with? Like, death is coming. And Final Destination 2 was like, ha ha ha, death is totally coming for you. You know what I mean? And I like the dark more. So I hope in the future movies they lean a little bit more into the darkness, but they still have the antics of the second one. Now we're in my top 5, get ready. Coming at number 5 is Planet Terror. This movie is crazy. I would never have watched this on my own unless one of you requested it and someone on my Patreon did, so that exclusive is on there. It was chaotic from start to finish, and I was living for every moment of it. I loved it, and this movie was a lot more action, and you guys know how I feel about action, but it was just so good. Direction-wise, production-wise, I loved the chaos. I loved everything. I loved the transition scenes. Cherry Darling, crazy character story, loved every minute of it, okay? The movie was played into the way it needed to be played into, you know? It was serious and dark, but also not at all. It wasn't too goofy and it wasn't too serious. It was that perfect sweet spot that I really like. Just incredible. If you haven't watched it, definitely give it a try. Coming in at number 3 is Child's Play. I did not know what I was getting into when I watched Chucky. I did not know. I also didn't realize that when I thought it was going to be over, it had only just begun. What Chucky goes through and what he becomes in this movie is not anything I could have prepared myself for. And I also liked about this, and you'll see it in my first watch, every time I asked a question, they answered it in the movie. I was never left trying to figure out what was going on or why it was the way it was. Everything was explained while keeping the energy of Chucky. That little doll running around is in my nightmares. Him and the leprechaun both just scurrying. The leprechaun more funny, Chucky more scary. It was also crude and fun, and that kid Andy is one of the best actors I've ever seen as a child actor. Crazy. Insane. So I really like Child's Play. I really hope I like some of the other ones because I just had so much fun with this. And it was scary, okay? It was scary. Coming in at number 2, this movie, Phantasm. I heard everybody talking about this in the Tall Man, and I was like, I don't think a tall man's gonna scare me. He is. He scares me. So let's get that right out of the way. But this movie is just so 70s. The score, the story, the scenery, the shots, everything is just so... How Halloween makes me feel is how Phantasm makes me feel. And it's how Christine made me feel. Like, just these vibes in it. And maybe it's the score, but the vibes in it just really give me that eerie feeling. And Phantasm is so out there and confusing at times, but I was so intrigued. I just needed to know more. The ending just made me want to watch more. So I hope the others in this series are good because I really, really like Phantasm. And then finally, my number 1, which I've watched twice, is the original My Bloody Valentine. I did not expect to like this movie as much as I did. It is right now on my top 4 in Letterboxd. I love this movie. I was very engrossed in the characters, in the story. The kills were crazy. You have to watch the uncut version. If you watch the cut version, it does not live up because I watched it on Shudder after, and that was the cut version. So the first time I watched it, it was uncut, and the ending alone is so less effective without that uncut. So if you haven't seen it uncut, go watch it. But I just fell in love with this. Obviously, for me, there's a little bit of like nostalgia and comfort and happiness in the fact that it's filmed in Atlantic, Canada, because I get those vibes. I feel those vibes. And especially even the storylines are relatable. You know, people going out west to work and coming back and blah, blah, blah. It was very relatable to the point where I could get engrossed in the story. When a story can get me invested in the atmosphere, the characters, and the overall story that connects everybody, and then it has good kills and good horror, that's what wins me over. Because I need to be able to feel like I am living in this moment, and then you need to be able to scare the shit out of me. You need to be able to freak me out, and you need to be able to gross me out. And that's what wins me over, and My Bloody Valentine does all of it. I love it. Okay, that's my February. I don't plan on watching as many movies in March. I'm traveling for a week, but you know me. You know me. I'll end up watching a bunch in one day, but I've just been on a house kick, as in the TV show House. I just need a little brain break, but let me know what you've watched this month, if there's anything I should check out based on what I liked. Is there one I should give another chance? And yeah, see you in the next one.